So, hey, today I thought I'd talk a little bit about squandered wealth. And it's actually inherited wealth. Inherited wealth often gets squandered. I've actually been the benefactor of that, unfortunately, and fortunately. In as much as, if you didn't earn it, if you didn't create it yourself, you oftentimes throw away what otherwise would be a good opportunity. And it's unfortunate, but I bought properties for just a fraction of what they were worth. And this comes up only because sometimes I get approached by people that have come into wealth, have actually found some money or inherited some money, and they're not sure what to do with it. And they're smart to be concerned with it, because a lot of people get separated from their money very quickly. Of course, everybody wants to borrow money from them, or they got, hey, go in on this, go on that. And listen, if you're out there and you've got a substantial chunk of money that you've got, or maybe it's considerable, you want to parlay it into more. It's like all this stimulus money. People got so much stimulus money for doing nothing, and they didn't respect the money because they didn't earn it, and then they pissed it away. They threw it on risky things like Bitcoin. A handful of people made money on it, but I would say most did not. And hey, Barry, I could stream on Rumble. You know what? I don't know what the fact is, but supposedly Rumble's supposed to be, looser, freer, more freedom of speech and that sort of thing. But somebody was telling me that it's just kind of another controlled opposition, So in other words, somebody's got their thumb on them, and so who knows? But hey, is there any delay? Does it look like it's okay, or do we have any lag here? I'm kind of wondering. I sometimes don't know. But does anybody out there have any inherited any money? Has anybody ever wasted it? I've seen people take money that they inherited. This is cash now. And take that money and throw it in the stock market on crap they absolutely know nothing about. And boy, did they get burned. Okay, well, I'm glad to hear it. It's distracting to me when I see that what I see as a delay. But glad to hear it. So I was just talking to a guy. It's kind of interesting. He's actually, I won't even say, but he's an acquaintance, and he'd come to me, and he's actually, he's come into a large chunk of money, and he's, and you know what he was doing? This is one of the things he was doing that was I'm glad I got to talk to him. He was actually paying cash for a property. And then, actually, he was going to a bank. He'd inherited this wealth, but he'd actually never has created any real credit. He's never had any real credit. And so what he did was he was borrowing money against cash in the bank, from a bank. Now, a bank loves that, but that's like the stupidest thing you can do, is to borrow money from a bank and let them secure your loan with your cash. It's preposterous. I remember when a bank had proposed that to me one time, and I thought, are you nuts? What the hell's wrong with you? And believe it or not, though, people go for it. Can you imagine you buy a property and it's secured by your cash? It's silly. Just go pay cash for it. And so that's what I was explaining to him, because even when they loan you money secured by your cash, which is insane as that sounds, you're still paying an interest rate. Maybe you're paying only 2%, but it doesn't make sense to pay anything. So I was explaining to him, no, what you need to do, and he didn't want to homestead it. He doesn't want to homestead this property, which actually a bank would prefer anyways, to be quite honest. The business banks don't even do homestead loans. But so he's doing basically what I told him to do, and I introduced him to my banker, made a quick call, and then maybe you fall in this category out there, somebody out there, is basically he now he's just going to pay cash. He's going to pay cash for the property. And I said, and go get a revolving line of credit. I said, you can get a 2-year loan. Maybe he'll give you 70 cents on the dollar against your house. And, you got a $400,000 house, there's $280,000 that you're not paying any interest on. That's the beauty of a revolving line of credit. People go out and they pull a second on their home, and they pull out $100,000, they're paying interest on it, and they don't have any place to put the money. It's really stupid. You know, and it's just not thinking. I don't want to be so harsh, but it is. It's not very bright. Hey, Robert, glad to see you in here. Russ, always pleasure. Barry, let's see. Yeah, you can. I can stream on Rumble. That's what I'm told. In fact, it took 5 followers, which I appreciated. I got 10 after I posted. Needed a few. So, but hey, you know, we can talk about anything you want. But you know, also the LLCs. You know, a lot of people don't realize the power of a homestead. When you own a property, and you homestead it. You know, it is your home. And that's like you can't just homestead any building. You actually have to live there to really make it enforceable, let's say, protectable. But once you get that, I mean, look at O.J. Simpson, you know, killed 2 people and he kept his home. So I'm just saying, there's a lot of power with the homestead. Anyways, what's on your mind? How about you, Russ? What do you got going with the real estate stuff? And I know one of the things you got going. I've talked about that, but anybody seeing any action one way or another? Why is this ringing? Sorry. Also, if anybody would like to call in, there's the number right above my head. You can call in, which is always more interesting for everybody watching. But has anybody ever seen that for themselves? You know, squandered wealth or any of that stuff? Have you you know, I think almost everybody has seen it happen. You know, everybody knows somebody. You know, I remember a kid that him and his brother each got like $120,000. This is back in the '80s, which was, you know, a hell of a lot of money. It's like getting $300,000 or $400,000 now. So Russ says, looks like the number of showings with buyers are going up. That's interesting. I'll tell you what I've noticed on LoopNet and in my email. You know, I get a lot of emails from brokers that are having properties for sale, particularly commercial and industrial. I'm seeing a lot of lower pricing. They're setting the prices lower, and the problem is they're not moving fast enough, and that's why a lot of these guys are going to get stuck. You have to. In fact, I had a property, and this is ridiculous. I have a property that's probably worth maybe $2.5 million, maybe, right in there. It just appraised at $4 million, and it's not worth it. I called my bank and I go, because actually before I knew, I said, hey, anyways, I actually need 2 appraisals for reasons I won't get into, but I asked him. I said, hey, did that appraisal come in? He said, yeah. And I go, what did it come in? He said, 4. And I go, what? And he goes, 4? I go, $4 million? He goes, yeah. I go, there's no way is that property worth that. I don't even want a high appraisal on that thing. And he said, no. He goes, that's what it came at. He goes, yeah. He goes, I don't think it's worth that either. He goes, I don't know what they're thinking. I didn't say, he said he's an appraiser. I didn't say he was a good one. And I'm actually surprised though, because and there are some terrible appraisers, you know, in the county's office and even out there in private, private business. And it's unfortunate, you know, whenever there's a downturn, usually agents become much, much more careful because they kind of get accused of overblowing up the values, and they can get in a lot of trouble because they're almost kind of like part of the problem. If things get overinflated, and then people borrow money and then they walk. In fact, there was a big scam in Los Angeles, and I actually knew somebody that got arrested, and not a friend, but he definitely he needed to be taught a lesson. But what they did is they actually went out and created a mortgage company, and then they created like a fictitious person, bought a property that was way, in other words, they probably bought a $3 million property that was only worth $1 million, but they said it was worth $3 million. They had an appraiser appraise it. Yeah, well, this guy's going to buy it, and then this fictitious person bought it, made payments for 6 months, and then disappeared, and he never existed in the first place. but they pocketed all that cash, and then the bank takes back this asset that they probably loaned $2.4 million on, and it's only worth $1 million. And it was a big scam. And anyhow, the guy that I knew that was involved actually went to jail for it. And he always seemed kind of slimy. He's kind of a nice guy, but at the same time, he was driving a Ferrari. This is back when Magnum PI was on. Those of you that are 60, you know what I'm talking about. Magnum PI, and he had the cool Ferrari. I think it was a 308, and it didn't make sense because this guy was. It was never known for having any particular skills, and so it seemed all of a sudden odd that he's driving a Ferrari. Anyways, Rob wrote, "Seems like most buyers have returned to the market." Yeah, I don't know. I am not an agent, but I do see a lot of commercial properties, industrial properties, which I'm always looking for. They keep reintroducing them at a lower rate. And some of them I've seen drop $1 million on a property that is maybe $6 million. So that's a pretty significant drop. But it's just the reality of it. Interest rates are what's going to crush things, and it's starting to work. That's what they were planning, that's what they wanted, and that's what they're getting. And I don't think it's a problem. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for everyone with the values going down. But let's talk about LLCs. A lot of people get LLCs that they don't need them. When you buy a property, there's no reason you can't have it in your name. I'm talking about if you're buying and selling houses, that sort of thing. It's not a big deal. You have insurance. The things that you really worry about as you become a higher net worth individual is you worry about somebody getting hurt and being sued over and above your coverage. And that's when an LLC and that type of thing can be more beneficial. You won't get sued personally, number one, because an entity that owns it has it's almost like a person. It has all the rights of a person. And because the other real benefit of LLCs and limited partnerships are that children can be a partner in an LLC or a limited partnership, limited liability company or a limited partnership. But they can't own real estate otherwise on their own. And let's see what's going on here. I got Siri talking to me at the same time. I guess I said something. Robert wrote, "If the value came in too high, how does that affect you?" Well, I was kind of hiding. I was just trying to steer clear of that one. I'm at odds with on this property with the powers that be. I think they overvalued it, and so I was looking for an appraisal with a lower value so I could counter that. Now, if I wanted to just suck a lot of money out of the property, of course, I'll support the highest price they have. But that's not my intent. I don't really care about sucking a bunch of money. I just want to have some extra cash available. And so I'll take 70 cents on the dollar out of an asset without having to inflate it. But we'll see what happens. We'll see if they come back. I mean, I'll tell you what, if this appraisal comes back and he can support a $4 million purchase or a $4 million price tag, I'll put it up for sale. I'll just sell it. I only paid $1.05 million for that property. So I will sell it in a second. There's just a conflict of interest for me, Robert, with it being higher. To be honest, there's a little conflict because I might have to pay taxes on that higher number. So that's the real problem. Robert, Robert, you're in Portugal, I think. Do you even have property taxes there? I'm sure they're insignificant, if at all. But I just wondered if you have any property taxes there. Because it's actually more significant in some states than others, too. So it's something to keep in mind. A lot of people come from California. California has about the lowest property tax rates of anywhere I've ever seen, and that's the good thing about California. So people say, everything's really expensive. It may seem a little more expensive to purchase, but guess what? It's not as expensive to hold. the difference of holding property in California as opposed to Texas is it's almost 3 times more in Texas. So let's see. Sure. Let's see. All lefties. All lefties here. Funny. Hey, Tom in chat room. Hey, all right, Jerome. German, I mean. Glad to see you in here. So look, if you just got here, Flip Anything USA. Been buying and selling real estate for 42 years. 61. I've been doing it since I was 19. Made a lot of money in real estate, and there's just not a better way to get wealthy. I have a book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. Urge you to get that on Audible, Kindle. Also, I have a webinar tonight. It's going to start in actually an hour and 12 minutes. If you want to get in the live webinar, come on in. The link's below. You go in and sign up now, though, because you'll get sent the Zoom link. So actually, yeah, you want to do that right now, by the way. So I'll show you where to go real quick, just so you guys can see. Let me get rid of this. And I will show you where you can sign up, and you can, and listen, whenever I do these webinars, you'll learn something. I guarantee you'll learn something. But also, you'll, if you have a specific question at the end of the webinar, I'll take personal questions on, real estate or whatever kind of jam you might be in, or if you need some, in somebody else's eyes on something, I'll go look at it on Google Earth for you, and I'll tell you what I think. If you're trying to, having trouble assessing it one way or another, I'm happy to help. I do a lot of it. And so, let's see, where was I going to take you? I was going to show you something. Oh, yeah. Right here. Where to go? Let's get out of here. Oh, by the way, I will be live in San Antonio on the 27th, April 27th. If you want to come see me there, please do. So when you go to flipanythingusa.com, first thing you're going to see is you'll see here where you can sign up for the mentorship survey, which I encourage everybody to do that. But over here on the right, webinar, you click on the webinar link, and the webinar link will take you to just a very short form. You can fill this out, and you want to do this right now. If you do this within the next 30 minutes, you'll get an invitation to get into the class before 7 p.m. tonight. And like I said, you'll no doubt in my mind you'll learn a lot. You can ask me any question you want. I've seen a lot of stuff in my time, and that's what I do pretty regularly on a daily basis, answer questions. So just put your name in there, your email. You might want to put your phone number in there, because I'll text you the link if you don't get this thing done in time. So Russ wrote, let's see, actually we'll start with Robert or Jamon. No, Robert, just Robert. If you have a profit of $100,000, you have to pay at least 20 to 40%. Oh, okay. That's not too far off of what it is here. We have short-term and long-term capital gains. I think the short terms are 14, or 15, plus another 4% Obamacare tax, and then the other ones I think are I want to say 30, plus Obamacare tax, add 4%. So it's significant. It's certainly something you'd rather not pay, or if you can defer it, you should. I sure would. Russ wrote, if you sell $4 million, will you do a 1031 exchange or pay taxes and hold on to the cash for the best deals when if market declines and more? I will. If I sell something for $4 million, I'm probably going to already have something lined up. To be honest, I don't. No way do I want to pay tax on. That for me that will be a $3 million gain. If I sell that property, I paid $1.05 million for it. So if I sell it for $4 million, that's $3 million profit. Yeah, I don't want to. I would rather roll into something else and use that deferred cash by deferring it into another purchase. Barry wrote, Tom, is there a part of you that wants to move somewhere else? I like I like Florida. I actually in Ben Mala's area, Bel Air Beach. I've been there. I've been going to San Clemente and Clearwater actually for about 25 years. My kids have been there many, many times. Barry Holiday also wrote, Tom, is there, oh, so that's, you already wrote that somewhere else. Yeah, I love the beach. Listen, I like the beach. Maybe as I get older, I'll start liking the mountains. I don't know, but I like prospecting for gold. I do like fishing. I like fly fishing. I'm not an avid fish person, but I do like to, go, basically glamour camping and go with a guide and just hit all the best spots down the Snake River. And it's something I'll be doing in September. Just Robert wrote, if you don't want to pay, you have 36 months to invest that profit in a permanent home, well, your own home, then you don't have to pay anything. Well, that's a nice tax incentive. So what Robert was saying, if you sell something, you can actually defer it into it sounds like defer it right into your home. And you have up to 3 years to do so, which is pretty good. So it's not too far off, really, from what we have here in the States. And again, hey, if you just got here, please hit that subscribe button. And, we learn a lot about real estate here, I promise you. And anybody got any questions, just fire away. I probably will cut it here in the next 5 or so minutes. So if you do have a question, don't be shy. But, yeah, so back to the LLCs. The main purpose of an LLC for most people is that, it's just like, consider it like the FDIC, right? The FDIC, your depositor's insurance is only good to $250,000. So you put $500,000 in there, and the bank goes belly up. You may lose your $250,000 because it's not insured to the amount of money that you have. And so that's kind of how you can look at an LLC. In as much as the analogy is this, is that if things get bad and something goes wrong with that particular asset, somebody gets hurt. I had a friend of mine that he had an LLC, and he also had a kid drown in his swimming pool, and he owned it, and they're trying to make it his fault, even though it wasn't his fault. They were trying to, and so he was frightened and getting sued personally and everything else. But if he had a homestead, he wouldn't be able to touch his homestead, for one thing. But the main thing is you have insurance to a large degree, but when you have more and more assets, you want to keep them, you want to compartmentalize them, put each of them in a different little cubby hole, so to speak. And each of those cubby holes is a limited partnership or a limited liability company. And it's just a way, just look at it like if one of them gets sick or gets cancer, and that could mean getting sued or some sort of crazy, issues that could happen like that. They can't jump over into the next one. It's all confined to within that compartment. And that's, it gives a lot of people a lot of peace, believe me. And I've been in positions where I've, been glad that I had such things in place. And you're also just a whole lot less attractive to sue, by the way. Okay. I change my address every 2 years. Oh. Robert wrote, but I live on the same spot for 18 years. Oh, yeah. Well, that sounds pretty good. Not too much yard work there. Let's see, but I live on the same spot for 18 years. I just have to have the electricity, gas, and water in my name. Very cool. So there's a lot of people push LLCs for basic new buyers, which is really silly. You don't need to do that. I hate for anybody to get conned into buying an LLC they don't need. And that's one of the things I've seen with some of the fake guru stuff out there is, you got to get yourself an LLC. No, that's not the first thing you need to do. First thing you need to do is find a deal, and then find somebody to flip it to. And then when you start to have a lot of money, then you got to start looking for places to stash your money safely. Let's see, but I live on the same spot. I was old. But anyways, that's about it. So if you guys want to come in, like I say, we'll be live tonight in about 1 hour. And let me see here. I'm trying to find my little banner here. But you can go to flipanythingusa.com/webinar. And actually, you want to learn how to make. Oh, that's not what I wanted. You want to learn how to make millions of dollars in real estate. I've made tens of millions over my lifetime, and I'm showing people how to do it. Get in my free webinar. I have it every Thursday, 7 p.m. Central. Go to the link below, flipanythingusa.com/webinar. Sign up for it. You can talk to me face to face if you want. Don't waste any time. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. You don't want to miss my channel. I've been doing it for years. Anyways, so so get in the webinar tonight. Like I say, it starts in about an hour. That's 7 p.m. Central Time. Some of you might have apartments or thinking about buying apartments, or you might have concerns over the cap rate, over the damage. I'm a developer. I'm a builder. I've seen a lot of stuff. I'd be happy to share with you how I can. And but if you want to learn how to invest in real estate the way I do, the way I have, and I've been very successful at it, then jump into the webinar tonight, and I'll be happy to share with you. And anybody that attends the webinar, I will afford you some discount if you do get in the mentorship. And like I said, you got to be accepted. It's not a given you get in. You actually have to show that you have to show me that you are serious, and that and if I believe you, and you're probably golden. As long as you can afford to get in. But anyways, I guess that's it. You got anything else to add, Robert, Jermon, Barry, anybody, Russ? I can already tell. I think I need to get a nap before I go. But anyways, it's just going to be a great next couple of years. You guys just can't believe some of the things I've seen in my lifetime. I've seen 4 plexes for sale for $28,000, and because they were owned by the Veterans Administration prior to that, it was a vet that bought it that had the mortgage on it. Because of that, the property, if you bought it, you could actually promise to replace the ranges and or the carpeting, and they would give you your 25% down back. Imagine buying a fourplex for $21,000 or $28,000, but it's $21,000 if you put $9-10 grand into it. Jermon wrote, "I'll hop on the webinar tonight on my lunch break." Oh, good. Glad to see you in there. But anyhow, that goes for everybody. flipanythingusa.com/webinar. The links are below. Get in there. I promise you'll learn a lot about real estate, and you'll learn a lot more about me. And I look forward to seeing you guys in there. And we'll just wrap it up with that.